Alright, I wanted to make this hopefully relatively quick video because I'm getting this question so much about if I'm in a reverse diet and I have a binge session, if I overeat, what should I do? Should I try to make up for it? Should I just get back on track? And of course, it depends. Hey, this is Colin DeWay. If you want to master your metabolism and create forever results, start now by subscribing and click on that bell notification so you don't miss anything. So if you've watched any of my different cutting series or reverse dieting series where I take either myself or a client through the reverse diet process, you know that what I consider to be the most important thing is your average calories for the week and not anything you do on any singular day. While there's value in trying to keep things as consistent as possible because the body just likes consistency, what matters by far the most, and it's not even close, is those average calories for the week. So say for instance, if your target calories was 1500 and you had 1500 calories every single day, or if you had one day of 1500 and one day of 1700 and one day of 1300, it's all going to average out the same, and that's pretty much going to keep your results the same, not to mention add some more flexibility, which of course is important. So with that being said, if you overeat while reverse dieting, in theory, yes, you could make up for those calories and would keep things relatively the same, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you should do. Most of the time when I get this question, it comes from somebody who says, hey, I just had a binge session. I ate way over my calories, probably over double what I was supposed to eat. What should I do? Should I try to make up for this? And in my opinion, if this is an actual binge, no, you should not try to make up for this. And this is because not only physiologically is it going to be hard, like you're going to have a really tough time making up for such a large overage over even a couple of days, but even more than that, you got to consider the psychological side of things. Trying to make up for your overages is only going to continue the yo-yo dieting behavior that's keeping you stuck. So there's going to be a lot of mental benefit to just getting back on track. Don't make up for anything. Just go right back to your normal calories. Put what happened behind you. Don't beat yourself up. Don't overjudge yourself. Just move forward and get back on track. And hell, considering you're in a reverse diet, the extra calories are only going to help that process anyways. But more than anything, I just can't overstress enough the importance of not stressing out about it, not freaking out about potential weight gain, and again, just moving forward. This is how you're eventually gonna get past the binge restrict pattern. You can't get over a binge restrict pattern if you restrict every time you binge. You know what I mean? So that has to stop, and the only way that stops is to let it go. And not only is this going to be the thing that eventually gets you the physical progress you want, but it's going to be critical for your overall happiness. So if your relationship with food, with your body, and with this process as a whole is poor, then in my opinion, you should pretty much never try to make up for any overeating. If, however, you have a healthy relationship with this process and you don't go too crazy over your calories, then yes, it can make sense to go ahead and make up for it and keep things the same, as it's not mentally going to put you in any kind of bad place. However, I would also argue if you have a healthy relationship with food in the process, chances are binging is going to be extremely rare, so be honest with yourself. That said, of course, there's going to be times where you're going to overeat, whether it's planned or not. We're not machines. We're not just going to just nail everything every day for the rest of our lives, and we need to be okay with that. And really, especially when it's planned in advance, this makes it really easy. You can just plan ahead. You can take away maybe 100, 200 calories for several days to leave yourself plenty of extra calories that are kind of banked up, so to speak, to enjoy more food on that day, even if you're not tracking that day and you're just going to enjoy it, which of course this is something we all need to do sometimes, but having those calories banked allows for a little bit more on that day without setting yourself back. Now, if it wasn't planned, what you have to do is ask yourself if you can realistically make up for that over the next few days or not. I don't really like to give exact calories, meaning like you can only make up for it if you go this many calories over. And if it's above this or below this, that depends on where you go. It's really down to the individual, and it just, like I said, it kind of depends on what's realistic for you. So if you go over and you can realistically make up for it, and it's not going to make you feel mentally unhealthy with anything, if it's not going to cause you to feel super restricted, and then potentially end up overeating because you can't stick to it and it's going to put you in a bad place. And as long as you're not binging and then starving yourself the next day and repeating this pattern, then yeah, you can go ahead and make up for it. This is a good strategy to allow flexibility, especially as calories get higher, like they will eventually in a reverse diet. So knowing yourself, your patterns, and being able to be objective with yourself is critical in determining if you can make up for overages or not. And this is why you can't do this if your relationship with food and your body and everything else is not in a good place. Regardless, I promise you, one day, or hell, even a weekend or even a week cannot undo everything. It can't make or break anything. It's allowing these small periods of time to turn into a giant snowball effect because you beat yourself up and you feel guilty and it spirals out of control from there. That's when we have problems. And really, if you think about it, overeating is not going to lead to a lot of weight gain in a small period of time. It's not going to happen. If we take the 3,500 calorie rule, 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. Again, oversimplification, but it's close enough and it's reasonable enough to use. If you go 2,000 calories over your maintenance calories, that's like a little over a half of a pound of fat. Now, could you see 3 to 5 pounds on the scale the next day? Sure, you're gonna have some bloat, you're gonna have some extra glycogen storage, you're gonna have a lot of extra water retention. But again, as I stress all the time, weight and fat aren't the same thing. And if this really stresses you out, maybe just stay off the scale for a couple days until things get back to normal again. Now, one thing that can be an issue with a reverse diet, especially in the earlier stages, and this is maybe why you have a tendency to overeat during it, the hunger is real in the earlier stages of a reverse diet, and it's usually even worse than when you're cutting. So if you struggle with this, check out this top video next, and I'll explain not only why you end up being so hungry, but what you can do to help minimize it some as well. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.